Actor and singer Mackenzie Phillips' life has been a roller coaster ride of extreme highs and lows. The troubled star who managed to achieve stardom by the age of 12 has had a rough ride ever since, with drug addiction putting her through the ringer. Mackenzie was born into fame and limelight as the daughter of folk music legend John Phillips. Unfortunately, John passed on more than just his name. He also gave her exposure to a terrible lifestyle full of drug abuse. As an actor, Mackenzie Phillips had the potential to be the next big thing in Hollywood, but her drug addiction dragged her down before she could even scratch the surface. Phillips's woes started early in life, with her parents separating when she was 3. After which, she lived a life where she was pulled into 2 different worlds, her socialite mother's normal one and her rock star father's one of debauchery. Phillips started doing drugs when she was only 10, and by 18, she was too far down the self-destruction spiral. Her addiction cost her the biggest claim to fame, her role as Julie Cooper on the sitcom One Day at a Time. Early childhood. Mackenzie Phillips was born to folk music legend John Phillips and his first wife Susan Adams in 1959. Her early years were mostly spent juggling homes between the 2 parents after their separation. While many children from broken homes managed to grow up well, this wasn't the case for Mackenzie. Her mother Susan tried to raise her as decently as she could, but it seems her father John didn't feel like this was his moral obligation too. John was a famed musician by his mid-20s, and as the leader of the group The Mamas and the Papas, he was quite the celebrity. Little Mackenzie was exposed to John's lifestyle of alcohol, drugs, and sex right from the start, and it went as poorly as one can imagine. Under John's influence, Mackenzie learned how to roll a joint by the time she was 10, tried cocaine by 11, and lost her virginity by 12. By the time she entered her teen years, she was practically hooked on drugs and drowning in alcohol. Looking back at her early drug addiction problem on The Oprah Winfrey Show, Mackenzie Phillips says she was predisposed to it. She disclosed her family had a long history of mental illness, alcoholism, and addiction, so she felt there was a genetic link to it all. She also added her early exposure to such substances played a role in her behavior, stating her younger self believed such things to be normal and some sort of rite of passage. While alcohol and drugs found her at an early age, so did work. 12-year-old Phillips had formed a band with 3 of her classmates, and a casting agent noticed their performance. The agent got her an audition for American Graffiti, and the rest is history. Phillips was 13 when the 1973 coming-of-age comedy was released, shooting her into fame overnight. Less than 2 years later, she bagged a role in the CBS sitcom One Day at a Time, which would make her a star in the true sense. Phillips played the role of the boy-crazy Julie Cooper on the show, and money and fame came rolling in. For someone so familiar with debauchery from an early age, it isn't surprising Phillips didn't handle the attention well. Her appetite for drugs was at an all-time high, and of course, the big paychecks from One Day at a Time made it easy for her to score. She was earning roughly $50,000 a week during the show, which is approximately $250,000 today. Phillips was first arrested before she turned 18. She was found passed out on a street in Los Angeles, high on Quaaludes. John Phillips's reaction to her arrest was mind-boggling. He congratulated her as if she had finally become an adult. On the work front, she was somehow getting by the shoots for One Day at a Time. However, by the 3rd season, she was arrested for cocaine possession. John Phillips's behavior seems consistent with a negligent and irresponsible father. But years later, Mackenzie claimed he was much, much worse. In her memoir, she claimed John had raped her when she had blacked out, and that was on the night before her wedding. Keep watching to learn the whole story and how others reacted to her claims. But before we move ahead, please take a moment to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. How she lost her role in One Day at a Time. In an interview with TV Guide, Phillips said everyone around her was concerned and wanted to help. She confessed her parents, aunt, manager, and show producers were all pushing her to get clean, but she wouldn't listen. They even sent her to facilities, but she wouldn't commit. The last straw was when her father sent her to a hospital on the East Coast, but she left there against medical advice. She ran to New York and started shacking up with someone she had just met. The guy taught her how to use needles, pushing her into the deep end. Phillips was then injecting cocaine into her bloodstream every 15 minutes. Of course, Phillips's downward spiral was bound to affect her career. Her performance and fame from One Day at a Time brought in plenty of offers, of which she couldn't accept any since she was in no state to do anything. Even on set, she was often late, out of sorts, or napping. Her extreme drug abuse was now evident on her body as well. She suddenly lost an extreme amount of weight. Her behavior was also a concern on set for her co-stars. Eventually, producers asked her to get clean and gave her a 6-week leave of absence in 1980, at the end of which they had to fire her. Meanwhile, John Phillips continued on his own downward spiral with heroin addiction. He was arrested in 1980 for illegal bartering of drugs, for which he pled guilty. He served a month in prison, after which he checked himself into Fair Oaks Psychiatric Hospital to get clean. It was then that John kept calling Mackenzie, convincing her to join him. It took a while since Mackenzie was in denial about her drug problem, but she eventually joined him. By this time, she had already had 2 near-fatal cases of overdose. Dr. Mark Gold, who treated both father and daughter at Fair Oaks, said Mackenzie was pitiful. She had shrunk from malnutrition and was so weak that walking was an effort. After a lot of therapy, she came out clean. Producers at One Day at a Time heard of Mackenzie turning a new leaf and gave her a call. Of course, she was thrilled to be given a second chance, which is how she rejoined the show by the fall of 1981. But Mackenzie's clean slate didn't stay clean for too long. By 1983, she was again hooked and one of the producers caught her napping on set. She demanded Phillips undergo a drug test, and Phillips refused, which eventually led to her being axed from the show, and this time permanently. Phillips' life then went untethered. She took up a few projects that came her way, nothing too exciting, and from the mid-80s to mid-90s, she performed with the revamped version of the Mamas and the Papas, which was named The New Mamas and Papas. The final fight. In 1992, Phillips decided to give sobriety another chance. She enrolled in a long-term rehab program and therapy for 9 months. Things again went well for a while. She managed to bag a recurring role on Disney's So Weird from 1999 to 2001. But somewhere down the line, Phillips again caved and started abusing drugs. In 2008, Los Angeles airport police arrested her for drug possession. This time, her poisons were heroin and cocaine. Phillips pled guilty and was sentenced to join a rehab program. Phillips claims she's been sober ever since, but agrees she takes it one day at a time. In an interview a year after the program, she claimed she started volunteering as a counselor. She felt her position as a celebrity made her more relatable than normal guidance counselors. Her memoir, High on Arrival. Mackenzie's struggle with drugs is all most people knew of her for a long time, until she came out with her memoir, High on Arrival. And one particular piece of information shocked family, friends, and fans more than anything else. Mackenzie claimed she had an incestuous relationship with her father, which began in 1979, the night before she wed her first husband, Jeff Sessler. After the release of the memoir, she appeared on The Oprah Winfrey Show. During the interview, she said she woke up from a blackout to find her father raping her. She was so shocked she only got around to asking why he did it months later, to which he denied he raped her, but said they made love. After that first night, Mackenzie claims she had a consensual sexual relationship with her father, which ended when she got pregnant and had an abortion. Hearing of those allegations, John Phillips's 2 other wives apart from Mackenzie's mom claimed she was lying for publicity. However, Mackenzie's half-sister, China Phillips, said she believed it to be true, since Mackenzie had already told her the story much before the talk of a memoir. Even though Mackenzie Phillips' story is a common one of celebrities getting carried away with fame and money, it's especially sad because she barely had a chance to live before the drugs took hold. There's no denying she had immense potential as an actor. If you haven't seen any of her heyday performances and would like to see something more recent, we recommend catching up on a few episodes of Orange is the New Black's 6th season, in which she plays Barbara Denning. What was more surprising to you, that she started taking drugs when she was barely 10 years old, or that she had a sexual relationship with her father? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed watching this, hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more. Hit the bell icon to stay updated with all our latest content.